Okay, good morning. Sorry, good afternoon. So we start today again talking about equations, systems, but a little bit non-standard problems. So these are higher level problems we want to discuss about today. So let me start with this thing. So I would say that example, solve the following systems of equations. Solve the following systems. Okay, so one equation, for example, let me just keep it for the time being simple. So number one, uh, okay, so let me write this equation for you. So x plus y is equal to 4, and x times y is equal to 1. Okay, so this is a very simple system, but the reason that I am talking this system after so many sessions we talked about system, because it is not a standard one. The ones that you see in the book mainly are linear ones. So that's not a linear system. Of course, this part is a linear equation. So this you can uh, draw that. This becomes a straight line, but this is not a straight line. Okay? Okay, so if I want to solve this system, there is only one method you need to think about, and that is method of substitution. Method of addition is only for those standard linear systems we discussed before. So there is nothing that I can, of course, it doesn't mean that addition totally doesn't work, but that's not the best scenario or best strategy. So method of substitution is best, and this method is exactly as the same. So do you remember what was it? You first need to choose one of these equations, and then decide about one of the variables, and then find it, put it in the other equation. Okay? So which one do you prefer here? This above. So I will choose that one. I would write x plus y equals to 4. And then I have to choose one of the variables to get rid of. So let us make y the subject. So it becomes 4 minus x. Yes? And then I need to go to the other equation that I haven't used so far and substitute. Substitution method. So I go here, I write x, but instead of y, what should I do? 4 minus x. And by the way, I don't think it is easy for you to guess those numbers. I need two numbers whose sum is 4 and the product is 1. I intentionally chose two numbers in my head that is not easy to guess, so that I make it clear to you that you are doing something really. Okay? So can you guess two numbers whose sum is 4 and the product is 1? So that's good. It means that this is not that trivial. We are doing something. Okay. Uh, but you see, I haven't changed my strategy. So the strategy of substitution, by the way, another name for substitution method, substitution, is called method of elimination. Usually in other books, I see this word, elimination. It means that I am eliminating one variable. I had two variables. I eliminated one of them, then I have one equation in one unknown. So sometimes you see the word elimination, sometimes you see substitution. Both of them mean the same thing. Okay, so what do I do? This is a very simple equation. What should I do? I have to expand it, so it becomes 4x minus x squared is equal to 1. But you already know this is a quadratic equation, so I have to move everything to one side and then use either ABC or PQ formula. So what I do, let us move everything to the other side. Minus x squared to the other side becomes x squared. 4x to the other side becomes minus 4x. 1 is already there. I can write this one equal to 0, but it doesn't matter if I write this one equal to 0. Yes? And then I use this formula. Here, PQ formula is also good, because whenever this number is 1 and this number is even, my PQ formula is good. But that's up to you. Anyway, I will use PQ formula here. So x is what? formula is this: minus p over 2 plus or minus the square root of p over 2 to the power of 2 minus q. So if I use that, it becomes minus p is minus 4 over 2 plus or minus a square root of p, which is minus 4 over 2 to the power of 2 minus q. Q is 1. And then I have to simplify. Whenever this number is even, you don't face any troubles with PQ formula because this is not fraction anymore. It becomes 2 plus or minus a square root of, what is that number? 8. No. Minus 4 divided by 2 is minus 2. Minus 2 to power 2 is 4. 4 minus 1 is? Yes? So how many answers I got for x? 2. Don't say that one of them is x, one of them is y, because x is equal to this. So it means that I have two scenarios to consider. One scenario is that x is 2 plus the square root of 3. Another scenario is that x is equal to 2 minus the square root of 3. But I also need to find y. But then y becomes clear because y is always this. Yes? So what should I do? This means that y is equal to 4 minus x, but minus totality of x. Yes? So I multiply minus sign. That is not for this one, but also for that one. So it becomes 4 minus 2 minus the square root of 3. But 4 minus 2 is just 2 minus the square root of 3. It's interesting. So it becomes the other number. But this, I want to mention something to you. So if I put x equals to this into that formula, so this becomes 4 minus the whole expression. So then what happens? It becomes 4 minus 2 plus square root of 3, because the minus sign also goes there. So it becomes 2 plus the square root of 3. Now, if I ask you to write the final answer, what do you write? Tell me how many solutions I got to the system. Yes? Two solutions. One solution is that x equals to what? 2 plus the square root of 3, and y is equal to 2 minus the square root of 3. And the other solution is that x is 2 minus the square root of 3, and y is equal to 2 plus the square root of 3. So you cannot just write one of them. Be careful. This answer is different from this answer, because this answer is x is this one, y is this one, this answer is the other way around. So how many solutions I have for my system? I have two solutions. Both of them are acceptable. And these are the numbers. That is not weird that we couldn't guess. Okay, you couldn't guess these numbers. The sum of these numbers is 4, trivially. Why? Because when I add them, this one and that one are gone, the sum becomes 4. But can you tell me why the product is 1? Why do you think if I multiply 2 plus the square root of 3 by 2 minus the square root of 3? Because if I have done everything right, the product should be 1. Otherwise, I have done a mistake there. But what pattern is this now? Conjugate pattern. So it becomes the first one squared, 4, minus the second one squared. But what is the square root of 3 squared? It is 3. 4 minus 3 is what? 1. So we are on the safe side here. So not only the sum is 4, but the product is 1. So that's why we couldn't guess, because these numbers are not very clear numbers to be able to guess. But I want you to understand that the method of substitution and elimination is the best method to solve most of the systems. And this is the idea. So it doesn't matter how complicated the system is. Of course, if the system is extremely complicated, no one can solve that one analytically, but we can solve this numerically by computer and something like that. Okay, I want to teach you something about graphical solution, because that's also important. It's good to have GeoGebra so that you can see. Before I start putting something in GeoGebra, can you tell me what I'm going to do with GeoGebra graphically to solve the system? We haven't talked about this, but this is one part of the lesson in the book. So if you want to solve a system graphically, what is the meaning of that? Tell me, for example, let us say that I open GeoGebra, you tell me what to do, I will do what you say, and then I want to solve my system, but without writing solve, because GeoGebra is capable of typing solve and putting the system there, and it gives me the answers. But no, don't use that feature. Let us say that you know that there is another software on exam.net. This is called Desmos. So I can provide you with that. That is only graphical tool. So sometimes I give you access only to that one, and I ask you to solve graphically. So you need to be able to solve graphically, because in that app you don't have access to analytic solution like GeoGebra. So can you tell me what is the meaning? How can I solve this system graphically? Okay, graphically means this. You can ask GeoGebra to draw the graph of this equation. How GeoGebra acts, it will find all the points whose sum of the coordinates of those points is 4. And then you know already what is the shape of this. It's a straight line. If I ask you this, if I ask this to from GeoGebra, it will give me something else. But definitely that something else is not a straight line, because this equation does not look like an equation of a straight line. And I don't expect you to know what the form is. Okay? We don't care about it. So that is not part of your lesson. So you just type in GeoGebra, GeoGebra produces some curve or whatever for you. Okay, so I put this in GeoGebra, you know that you will get a line. You put this in GeoGebra, you don't know what you are going to get, but you get some line or curve or whatever. Now you have the line and you have the curve. How can I solve the system? Yes? Look at the intersection points. That's called intersection. I don't understand what you mean by breaking point. Intersection points. That's exactly correct. So remember, that is the method to solve any kind of systems. Okay? Of course, with 2 variables. I will talk a little bit about what happens if we have 3 variables. But let me just go there. So we go to GeoGebra, and I write x plus y equals to what? X plus y is equal to 4. So as you predicted correctly, hopefully, or at least you anticipated, that's a straight line. But then the second equation, I know what happens. It will consist of 2 branches, 2 curves, identical copy of one another mainly. So it becomes x, let me just type it, x, but you have to put this product between them. Otherwise, GeoGebra will interpret it as one variable. And then equals to what? 1. And then if you don't mind, let me change the color. So don't think that you should... Today GeoGebra is not working here properly. I don't know. I had the same problem in the morning lesson. Okay, so now let me change this color. So for example, let us make it brownish. Okay, so that is what you see. Okay, so don't think that I have 3 equations involved. No, I have 2 equations. One equations, when I draw it, it becomes one single black line. And the other equation, when I draw it, it consists of 2 branches, 2 curves. Yes, so there are no 3 equations involved. But then I go to here. So you see here, if I want you to find the intersection point, because these intersection points are not grid points, it is not easy for us to understand what is the exact value or approximate value for these intersection points. So I have to go to this point and then choose intersect, and then come here and click on this curve and click on this line. And then GeoGebra will provide me with 2 intersection points. Yes? But of course, this is approximate. And then what should I do now? What are the solutions to my system? How should I interpret the numbers I get from GeoGebra? What are the solutions? Can you tell me? No, what is x, what is, because solutions means what is x, what is y. How should I interpret that? This point A, for example, let me open the label for you, show the label, and then let me also show the label here. So this point A has 2 coordinates, yes? This is the x coordinate of point A, this is the y coordinate of point A, y coordinate of point A. So this is one value for x, and this is one value for y. And these numbers are exactly those numbers I found. Of course, these are not exact numbers. The numbers that I solved are exact. I can show you here. For example, 2 plus, I would type square root of 3. and then you see that that's the number. And then I can type 2 minus a square root of 3, and then you see that's the number. So this is the graphical way. So graphical way is what? You draw the graphs and find the intersection points. The x coordinates, how many of them are there? I don't know. You find them. The x value is the x coordinate is the x value, the y coordinate is the y value. Is that right? That's the graphical way of solving equation. But that is important to understand. Any questions? Okay, and then you see that how many intersection points I got? 2. This means that I have 2 solutions, not 1 solution. Yes?
I have not understood. This is not exactly related, but x plus y equals to 4 is the same, has the same line as y equals to 4 minus x, right?
Yes? Yes. Okay, now let us I want to give you another problem. Okay. So I will write one, I wait for you, okay? Because you know that what to do. The method of elimination or substitution is probably a good one. Okay, I want you to solve this. The system is this. It is 2x plus 3y. If you want, you can use your calculator, okay? Not GeoGebra. We'll solve it graphically later. So 2x plus 3y is equal to 50. And then I have x minus y to power 2 is equal to 25. I want to wait for you, okay? I will write one more, so if you finish this one, don't stop, continue. Yes, I want you to solve these others as well. So if you finish this one, don't wait, continue. Can you tell me what I will do for this one?
Yes.
Anyone else don't want to participate? The last rows, middle rows. So what do you think I will do for this one? Yes, Shah, do you want to say something?
I see the x, because the subtraction is on x, and then
Yes.
put it in and on that.
Okay, and then you have to work with some fractions.
Or write 1.5.
Yes, that's possible. But is there any alternative?
You can square root
Yes,
the second one,
and then?
and then you get x minus y equals to 5, and then you move the y to the other side and find x, and then you do the equation.
Okay, if you just write x minus y, you can use addition method.
Yes.
Okay, but do you agree 100% with what he said?
Substitute.
Yeah, you can use substitution, but what you said that x minus y is 5, and then of course I can use addition method as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yes? But there is one small flaw in it. I agree with you, that's the way that I want to do it myself. But what is the flaw in what he said?
It also equals to minus.
Yes.
Two scenarios.
When there are 2 scenarios. If you want to go your way, then you have to solve 2 systems, but standard ones. But if you want to go what he said, that's 1 system, but it would be quadratic equation. So it doesn't matter which one you choose. So let us follow yours. If I want to solve this, this means x minus 5, x minus y to power 2 is 5. So x minus 5 is not 100% 5, or x minus y is minus 5. So you considered only one of them. So now I have 2 systems to consider. One system, the first equation is as before, and one equation is this one. Or I have to consider another scenario in which the first equation is exactly the same as before, but the second one is x minus y equals to minus 5. Now, instead of having one harder problem, you have 2 simple and standard problems. So you have to solve each one of them. For example, let us use method of addition here. So what do? I will multiply, if you don't mind, this one by 3. So then what happens? Can you do it in your head? Both of them together? So it becomes 3x minus 3y, and this becomes 15. So if you want, I can write it below. So 3x minus 3y is equal to 50. And then add the black one to the blue one. Minus 3y and 3y are gone. 3x plus 2x becomes 5x. And 15 plus that is 65. And I am looking for x, so it becomes 65 divided by 5. And this becomes 13. So x becomes 13. But then I have to go back and put it in one of the equations. I hope that we agree this is the simpler one. So instead of x, I put 13 minus y is equal to 5. So what is y? Is 8. So one answer is 13 and 8. The other answer, I have to solve this one again. But I can use the same trick. I multiply by 3, it becomes 3x minus 3y, it becomes minus 15. When I add them, this one and this one becomes 5x. This one and that one are gone. This becomes what? 35. So x becomes 7. If x is 7, I put it back here. So 7 minus y is minus y. So y becomes 12. And then when you want to write the answer, how many answers we got? How many? 2. One of them is x 13, y is 8. The other one is x 7, y is 12. But if Shah, you have also solved the problem correctly, you should also get 2 possible answers. Yes, exactly. So that's one way, but be careful about this point. There are 2 answers. If you just solve one of them, you miss one of the points. You get one of them. But before continuing, can you tell me, if I ask you to draw this, what do you expect? What kind of shape? It's a straight line. But can you tell me, if I asked you to draw this?
Is it like a...
No. You know why? Because both of them are quadratic now, x and y. Yes? In parabola, I have y and then quadratic on the right.
Would it be like that? Or...
No, don't get confused. Yes?
Is it that and that?
No.
Is it so and so?
No. Don't confuse. You told me what is that. This answer is what?
It would be like...
Is this one or that one? This one is? No, this one is a line. That one is also a line. So this means this equation represents 2 lines, not a parabola. Either this line or that line. Can you tell me, do you remember Math 1C, are these lines parallel or not? How do you understand that the lines are parallel? Do you remember the slope? Yes, if they have the same slope, they are parallel. So what is the slope? If you want to find the slope, this is important, by the way, you need to remember. What is the slope of this? I isolate y to read the slope. So I move this to the other side. Minus plus 5, I multiply by minus sign, it becomes x minus 5. So what's the slope? K value is 1. For this one, k value is again 1. So why? Because it becomes minus y is equal to minus x minus 5. I multiply by minus sign, it becomes x plus 5. So the slope of this line, the k value of this line is 1. The k value of that line is also 1. So if I ask you what is the graph of this is not hard for your knowledge. The previous one was hard. If I ask you what is the graph of this, you couldn't guess. But if I ask you what is the graph of this, you should be able to answer, because you told me this is either this one or that one. This one is a line, that one is also a line. These are 2 parallel lines. So if I ask GeoGebra to draw that, in principle, I expect GeoGebra draws 2 lines for me. Let us see. And the lines are parallel. So let me type, let us see if it works or not, because these are sometimes not exactly what we expect. Oops, sorry. I forgot to put the power of 2. And then equals to 25. So you see, I have 2 straight lines. Yes, let me make it a little bit smaller. What is that point there? So let me get rid of it. Okay, so that is these 2 parallel lines. And if I want to solve the system, what should I do? Graphically, I go here and also type this one in that, but 50 is a big number. Hopefully we can see a good picture here. So I type that one. What is that? 2x plus 3y is equal to 50. Okay, so that's good. And then what do you see? you see two intersection points. Two parallel lines is the graph of the second equation, both of them together. And then so I go to intersection point. So I click here and I click here. I get 2 points. And then do you see 7 and 12 is one answer, 13 and 8 is the other answer. Yes. We made a mistake or not? No. 7 and 12, 13 and 8. So this is the graphical way of solving the problem. Yes? So I want you to understand. Don't say that's a parabola. Parabola happens if I have like this. Y is with power 1. And then I have ax squared plus bx plus c. X with power 2. But here this is not the case. Okay, so that's also the graphical way of solving this problem. But now I want to wait for you again. These are good problems. At this level, I expect you. Of course, these are not E level. Might be some of them are A level. But you should be able to solve these kinds of problems. I'll wait for you again. If you want to solve a non-standard problem, not linear system, try to use elimination or substitution method. So you have to choose one of them. Which one you prefer to choose? The simpler one. Okay? So I write x plus y minus 3 equals to 0. Then I have to decide about one of the variables to get rid of. So which one you prefer? There is no preference here because the coefficient here is 1. The coefficient here is also 1. So let us get rid of y. So what I keep y here, I isolate y, I move everything else to the other side. So it becomes what? 3 minus 6. Then, so I use this equation. It served its purpose. I need to go to the other equation and substitute. So I go to the next equation. When I want to write it, x squared I write it, minus I write it, and then instead of y, I have to put this expression, substitute that expression. But be careful, you have to put a pair of brackets around that. And then on the other hand, I have equal to 3. And then if I ask you to solve this, this is E-level question. You shouldn't say this is a hard question. I mean, it's an E-level question just to expand and solve it. So how should I solve it? I keep x squared. I open a pair of brackets. This we learned in the very beginning of this course. The first one squared minus 2 times the first one times the second one plus the second one squared is equal to 3. And then I move the minus sign in, but you know the minus sign goes for all of them. So it becomes x squared minus 9 plus 6x minus x squared is equal to 3. And then I simplify. So here, there is no quadratic term involved because this is cancelled. Positive x squared, negative x squared. So I am left with 6x on the left. I move minus 9 to the other side. It becomes positive 9, positive 3, 12. And then I divide by 6, it becomes 2. X is 2. And when I found my x, I go here and I find y. What is y? 3 minus 2, which is 1. This is one way of solving it, and that is completely okay. Another way is to, if you realize this is the conjugate rule, might be you find a different way. This is a different way of thinking. I want you to also improve that. So I move 3 to the other side. Yes? And then I factorize this using conjugate rule. It becomes x plus y times is equal to 3. Do you agree? Instead of x squared minus y squared, I wrote this. Why do you think this is useful? Because accidentally x plus y is given to me to be 3. So I put the 3 here. And then I divide by 3. I get x minus y is equal to 1. Yes? And then I have x plus y equals to 3. And this is the simplest possible system, yes? I just use addition formula, addition rule now. These are gone, so 2x becomes 4, so x becomes 2. And if x is 2, y becomes 1. So I prefer to do it in this way. I want you to learn to think outside the box, you know? But that was okay if you don't want to think outside the box. If you follow the normal strategy, it will work. Yes? So this is the possible answer. Okay, but let us go also to number 4. Okay, I can write number 4 here. So number 4, let me write with blue and then write the answers with black. So number 4 is this one. X squared plus y squared plus xy. This is, I would consider this is a good and a standard problem. Yes? If we don't study them, might be it's a hard problem. But when we study them, it's not that hard. So again, you know this is not a standard equation. It's not a linear system. So I have to use method of elimination or substitution. So which one you prefer to choose now? Of course, the second one. The first one is complicated. I start with the second. So I decide about the second one. And then I have to decide about my variable. Which variable do you prefer? Here, it really doesn't matter. So I prefer to move x to the other side. So it becomes 8 minus x. That's it. And then I go to the first equation that I haven't used and do the substitution. So x squared is still x squared. So let me write from here. X squared is still x squared. Y should be replaced. So y is 8 minus x squared. And then plus x, y should be again replaced by 8 minus x. Is equal to 52. And this is again a simple problem. So I raise it to power 2. So this is already there. This is the first one squared. There's 2 times the first one times the second one is squared. I am not careful about putting brackets because the sign is positive. So I don't need to bother about that. And here I multiply x in. So it becomes 8x. I multiply x in, it becomes minus x squared is equal to 52. But now look, this minus x squared with one of them are cancelled, but still x squared survives there. What else? I have 8x minus 16x is what? Minus 8x, sorry, let me write it black. Minus 8x. And then I have 64 here. I move 52 to the left. 64 minus 52 is 12. And then I think it is better to use PQ formula here. Why? Because this is 1, this is even. Whenever this is 1, this is even, PQ formula is simpler. But that's up to you. Both of them you have in the formula sheet, so don't worry about memorizing. So I would write a formula. It's minus p divided by 2, which is 4, plus or minus this number to power 2 is 16, minus q. So the answer that I get for x is 4 plus or minus 16 minus 12, 4. Square root of 4 is 2. So be careful. I get 2 answers, not one for x, one for y. Both of them are for x. One of them is 4 plus 2, 6. The other one is 4 minus 2, 2. Okay, but now I want to find the y value as well. If x is 6, I put it back into this equation, y becomes 2. If x is 2, I put it in that equation, y becomes 6. So I want you to understand we have 2 pairs, 6 and 2, 2 and 6. By the way, could you predict that there will be 2 solutions? Why? Because this equation is symmetric with respect to x and y. X and y are just names. If I change x to y, y to x, this equation will be the same. This equation will also be the same. So it doesn't matter if 6 and 2 is an answer, it is clear that 2 and 6 should also be an answer. But don't say because this is 6, this is 2, I have only one answer. This answer and that answer are different because here this is 6, y is 2, here it is x2, y is 6. If you want to understand it geometrically, if I ask you to draw this point, the point 6 and 2 is this point, but the point 2 and 6 is this point. So these 2 points are the same, are not the same, even though both of them are dealing with 2 and 6. One of them is here, the other one is there. Okay? So this is the geometrical way of seeing it. Okay, any questions? So I want to really wait, I want to finalize, you finalize number 5. Why you couldn't, if you couldn't? Yeah, please try to do that. Do this exercise using GeoGebra as well. What do you expect GeoGebra will do for us? So it is not that clear what is the first equation. So let us draw it, okay, by GeoGebra. So x to the power of 2 plus y to the power of 2 plus xy equals to, xy shouldn't be written in that way. You should put product between them. And then equals to what? 52. And that is an ellipse. Yes? That's interesting. So if you draw the graph of this, of course I know a little bit higher mathematics, so I knew that this is going to be an ellipse. Okay, and then the other one is what? X plus y equals to 8. X plus y equals to 8. And that is also interesting. So let me change the color. So I change the color of the line, for example. And then I go and find the intersection points. So intersection between these two, I get these. And then you see 2 and 6, 6 and 2. So these are two different points that you see on the intersection. Okay. So graphically is extremely simple. I can, by the way, I can design questions in the exam. So the system is very complicated, but I give you access to GeoGebra to solve it graphically. So that's not hard. Yes, you just type in and then interpret the coordinates. That's something that you also need to know. So you can solve that problem at home for yourself, and you can check your answers using GeoGebra, either analytically or graphically. But let me solve some more other problems that I want to teach you. Some questions are like this. Let me write this question for you and see how you solve this. For example, determine the intersection points the points of intersect or points of intersect of the line y equals to x plus 1 with the parabola y equals to x squared. A very simple problem, but my motivation is to make it a little bit harder. So sometimes they can ask you solve a problem in words. Yes? But that is the same thing as solving a system. Yes? Because parabola is a curve, and then this is a line. I want to find the intersection between a line and a parabola. So what should I do? Even though they haven't asked you to solve a system, but in order to answer this question, you yourself have to set up a system. And what is the system? The system should be how? Y equals to x plus 1 in one of them, and y equals to x squared in the other one. And then you want to find the point of intersection. So, but usually this is extremely simple because you see y is equal to that, and it's y also is equal to this. So you don't need, this is a still elimination, but it is always better to eliminate y because x plus 1 is equal to y, x squared is also equal to y. So what does it mean then? It means this x squared and this should be the same. Do you understand what I mean? My goal is to eliminate one of the variables, but because in these kind of problems, both of them are functions, and when you draw a function, y is on one side, everything else is on the other side, so you will have y and y. So why should I bother to eliminate the other variable? I just put y is equal. because this is supposed to be y, this is also supposed to be y. So this means that this expression and that expression are equal, and then I solve it. Yes? So when I solve this, so this becomes x squared minus x minus 1 equals to 0. So let me use ABC formula here. So x becomes minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is 1, minus 4 times a times c, which is plus 4, and then divided by. And then the numbers are weird, but this is what it is. You have to work with it. So it becomes plus or minus the square root of 5 over 2. But be careful, I am asking you about the point or points of intersect. Point means x and y together. That is one point. So what should I do? I need to put x equals to 1 plus the square root of 5 over 2, and then find y. I can find y from here, but then I have to suffer to square it, but it is easier to add 1 to it. The answers will be the same. So 1 will be 1 plus the square root of 5 over 2 plus 1. If I take the common denominator, it becomes 3 plus the square root of 5 over 2. So one answer that you have to write is 1 plus the square root of 5 over 2 and 3 plus the square root of 5 over 2, which you couldn't guess. You have to solve. This is one point of intersection. And the other one, you take this one and put it here again. So the other one, x is equal to 1 minus the square root of 5 over 2. And then what happens? Y becomes 1 minus the square root of 5 over 2 plus 1. So this becomes 3 minus the square root of 5 over 2. So the other point will be 1 minus the square root of 5 over 2 and 3 minus the square root of 5 over 2. Okay. Well, that is essentially the same problem. Any questions here? Yes?
How did you get 3 plus 2?
So because here, when I have 1 plus the square root of 5 over 2 plus 1, this one can be written as 2 over 2. And now the denominators are the same, so I add 1 plus the square root of 5 plus 2, then 1 plus 2 is 3. Yes? Okay, but that was not my intention. My intention is this problem, which I consider a hard problem. Not algebraically hard, but conceptually hard. Okay, my question is this. I give you a parabola. So let me see if I'm recording this. So I give you a parabola. I don't want to make it complicated, but okay. So let me give you this parabola. X squared plus 1. Yes? And I give you a line, y equals to kx. Yes? Now my question is that find k so that this line becomes tangent to parabola.
What's tangent?
So tangent is clear, hopefully. So for example, the tangent, the idea of tangent comes from a circle. If I have a circle, I have this line. This line has nothing to do with the circle. But sometimes I can draw a line which intersects the circle at 2 points. But sometimes I can draw a line in a fine-tuned way that it touches the circle exactly at one single point. Yes? Something like this. This line is called secant. It cuts the curve at 2 points. But this line is nothing. It doesn't even intersect the curve at all. But this line is an extreme case in which I touch the curve exactly at one single point. This is called tangent. Yes? And this point is called the point of tangency, or the tangent point. Okay? So now you understand what the meaning of tangent. For example, if I have a parabola, this is not a tangent. What is this? It's a secant. But for example, if I choose this point, this is a little bit harder. This becomes tangent. If I choose that point, this becomes tangent, you know. A point that passes through one point and only one point of the curve is called the tangent point. So my question is that this parabola, I give it to you. It's a fixed parabola. If you ask GeoGebra to draw that, it will draw one fixed parabola for you. But this is a line, but not a fixed line. Why? Because k is not unknown. If you give this to GeoGebra, what do you think GeoGebra will do? It will not draw a line for you. It will give you a slider, you remember, so that you can change the value of k, and then for each value of k, it is a line. Is that right? Can you visualize how the lines changes? When I change k, what happens to my lines? Yes, because k is the slope. When I play around with the slope, it means that I am changing the slope. So if I ask GeoGebra to draw it, let us check it out. You will see what's happening. So let me go. Y equals to k, and then I put multiplication and x. As soon as I press enter, you might see a line, but you will also see a slider. This is what I call a slider. By default, GeoGebra chooses the slider from -5 to 5. You can manipulate it. You can change this if you want to. But why do you see that GeoGebra provided this line? Because the k value is what now? 1. If I start changing the k value, you see, it is affecting the line. It is always a line with different slopes. Yes? Okay, now let me also draw the parabola for you. Do you know the graph of the parabola? Can you immediately guess what's happening? Yes?
Regular one.
Exactly. We studied these things. This one, I expect you to remember the shape, and then I am adding 1 to it. So it will be shifted 1 unit up. So let us just draw that one on GeoGebra as well. So y is equal to x to the power of 2. And then I press that one. And if you don't mind, let me change the color of this so that we can see what is going on. Okay, and then, and if you don't mind, let me rescale them a little bit so that the figure becomes more transparent to you. So for example, you see what's happening. Of course, this is a secant. All of them are secant. So what happens? Oh, sorry, I forgot to put 1. Yeah, you were complaining. Thank you. So this is 1. Sorry, this is the 1. Okay, now you see what's happening. So here, is it a tangent?
No.
No. What is k value now? -1.1. It's not tangent. So if I go in this direction, I do not have tangent, but I want you to see at some point this black line touches the parabola. At that point, I will not be able to do it with my hand. Exactly. But dip, 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 dip. I think here it is. Yes, that is not exact. It is predicting it's 1.9. But this is my point. Do you understand what my point is? My point is to fine-tune this value of k, that this line becomes tangent to this line. That is the problem I want to solve. It is a simple problem computationally, but conceptually hard. You need to understand what to do. At least I hope that this simulation shows what I am looking for. Is it clear for everyone? I want to fine-tune that k so that this black line exactly touches the red parabole. Anyone else?
I have a question.
Yes.
Is it okay if you find one value for k so that it's tangent, because it can be tangent on the other side as well?
No, you need to find everything.
Both values.
Yes, yes. So you are right, because what I didn't care about that. I think there is another one here as well, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
It's like the opposite.
Yes, yes. No, I want all of them.
Okay.
Yes? But that's not important, because if you discover what to do, automatically you will get 2 answers. Can you tell me what to do? I want to see if you can answer this question. It means that you really understand, have a very good understanding of what's going on. Computationally, it will be very simple, as you will see, but conceptually, I consider a very good and nice problem.
You should maybe divide both of the first one by the second one, so that the y is 1.
Okay, so let me give you a little bit of hint. So here, I just had this parabola and this line. Now my question for you, based on what you see on the board, don't go into the details. Forget about the numbers, but something is important. Is this line secant to this parabola or not? Because a line is either nothing to a parabola or secant or tangent. This line is which one of them? Why?
It crosses 2 points.
Yes, because we found how many intersection points? 2 points. So this is a secant line.
So if there's one intersection point, it's
Yes, so it means that you have to write the system and force the system to have one solution.
So by getting
Because if you don't get any solutions, this line is nothing for the parabola. If you get two solutions similar to this, as you said, it is a secant. So it means that set up the system as usual, but fine-tune K, forcing the system to assume one solution. Because if it becomes like this, then it becomes a secant line. I don't want to have it. I want to have one tangent line. So it means that you have to force the system to have one solution. And I think if you remembered what I told you before, immediately you can connect today's lesson to that old lesson.
maybe you can subtract the first one by the second.
Not subtract, do the same thing, eliminate. Yes, you are right. This one is equal to y. This one is also equal to y. So what happens? X squared plus 1 becomes kx. I have to force this equation to have one solution. We solved this problem in the previous quiz. The last question of, not this quiz, the previous quiz was harder than this one even. So how can I force this equation to have one single solution? What type of equation is that? What is the name of this equation? Quadratic equation. So if you want to solve quadratic equation, you move everything to the left. X squared minus kx plus 1 equals to 0. And you know that a quadratic equation has three possibilities. No solutions at all, one solution, or two solutions. Yes? Yes?
It has to be, what's it called?
Discriminant?
Exactly. The discriminant has to be negative.
No. The discriminant should be
Larger than 0.
0. No, the discriminant larger. This is simple. Why do you forget? I immediately talked in Persian, because I get crazy. Okay, so Baba means damn it, So D greater than 0 means what?
Okay, have to
Two solutions.
guys, I found
D equals to 0, one solution. D equals to less than 0 is what? No solutions. I want to force my equation to have how many solutions? One solution. So I have to have the discriminant 0. Okay, tell me, what is the discriminant? In this problem, A is 1, B is minus KC is 1. So the discriminant 0 means what? B squared minus 4 times A times C is equal to 0. Yes or no? Okay, and then you want to find K. So K squared is 4. What is K? Plus or minus 2. So these are the numbers. You see, computationally, it was extremely simple. In Swedish system, these kinds of questions, they are saying higher level question. I agree with them because you are not confused and distracted by a lot of computations. But still, if you don't have a good understanding what's going on, you don't know even what to do. So it is a high level question. Is that clear? So this number, it means that I cannot fine tune it with my hand, So that number is what? So let me go immediately to 2. Yes. This is the 2. Is that clear? Okay. And then the other one is minus 2. Oops. Minus 2. So these are the two tangent lines. So I will consider this a good problem. So please remember this. I put a star here. You might face some of these questions in the exam, okay? Is that understandable for everyone?
It is.
Okay. Now, I can make a little bit harder question. Might be we don't have time to solve it now, but we will probably solve it. I will, this one. So I will write like this. Example, from the point let us say A with coordinates 0 and 5, two tangent lines are drawn to the parabola y equals to 1 minus x squared. Determine the equation of those tangent lines. The equations of those tangent lines. Okay, so this is a little bit harder question. So I want to think about it yourself at home. If you cannot solve it, we will solve it on Friday, first thing. Any questions? What? Yeah, you can do. Okay, so I end the lesson here. On Friday, we will finalize everything for this chapter. So this chapter is finished. Next week, I will go to the next chapter, but the exam is postponed to week 16, okay? Thank you.